On today's episode, Mike and Ryan talk about green beer, but the natural way. Cheers. Hi, and welcome to another episode of Brewthers-In-Law podcast, where beer is thicker than water. Join us on a journey of discovering homebrewing, craft beer, and more. My name is Ryan, and with me as always is my brother-in-law, Mike. How's it going, Mike?
It is going well. It is 2021.
As time recording, yes. And actually time release, yes.
Unless we're releasing in the past, yes.
Yes.
And even though it's not off to a hot start, it can't possibly be worse than last year, can it?
I mean, if this is the beginning, I can only imagine what the end will be.
Moving on.
We're not going to get into that. Mike and I are both amateur homebrewers, excited about beer and homebrewing. On Brewthers-In-Law, we aren't looking to act as authorities, but to share our experiences with you, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And we hope that you will share with us as well, so that we can all learn and grow and enjoy this wonderful hobby together. Before we start off, Mike, before we even go to the first sip, which is where we usually do start off,
You have a pre-first sip?
I have some wonderful listener feedback, actually.
The zeroth sip?
The zero sip, yes. So I'm just going to go through a couple of these. There's a few, nothing too crazy.
Cool.
The first one I'm going to do, we talked about a few episodes back about Christmas episodes. And when that happened, Christmas movies was one of our first steps. So I decided to reach out to the Twitterverse and answer some questions we had. You debated whether... I can't even think of what it's called. Die Hard. Sorry, I apologize. Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
Dare you.
And so then you said that Home Alone wouldn't be considered a Christmas movie because Die Hard would be considered a Christmas movie.
I think that they both should be. I'm saying if Die Hard is not, then neither is Home Alone.
Well, Twitter agrees with you.
Yes.
67% say Die Hard is a Christmas movie. 100% says Home Alone is a Christmas movie. And then I also asked, what is everyone's favorite Christmas movie overall? And the highest vote for that was Elf, which I completely forgot about, honestly, when we did that episode.
I mean, I stand by Die Hard being my favorite Christmas movie.
I stand by Home Alone.
Elf is great.
Elf is great. We usually do watch it towards the end of the Christmas timing.
Yeah.
I think Christmas Eve we watch it.
We forget about that one. Maybe we'll have to throw it in next year. It's good.
So... settles that. Die Hard, Christmas movie. Home Alone, obviously Christmas movie, and we'll move on from that. No more debate. The
populace has spoken.
Yes.
Thank you for that.
The next one is from a friend of mine on Twitter, actually. His name is Jared Gill. He's at A Mighty Bear, is his Twitter handle. And this goes back to your Anchor Steam episode that we did.
Oh, beautiful.
So I had said on there that we are going to be doing an episode based on doing this beer. And he said, Anchor Steam is a staple in my beer fridge. Made my best effort to brew a clone a while back, but there's nothing like the real thing.
I agree. I loved my California Common. It was one of, I think it's probably still maybe the second favorite brew that I've made so far. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't really that close. I agree. Yeah, it kind of floated in the same sphere, but Anchor, I've got a lot of work to do if I want to make it actually taste like Anchor Steam.
You talked about when I think it was beer episodes, like dream beers that we want to do. You said you thought about doing an Oberon clone, but at the same time you'd be hesitant to do it because it won't quite reach that same level. And why make something when it's already there really good?
Yeah, I think the one thing about that for me is my beer was different and it was a bit closer to an American Amber Ale than Anchor Steam is.
Okay.
It was I at least thought that mine was less lagery in particular and a bit maltier, but I still liked it.
Yeah, no.
But I guess you're right. It's I was drinking that, but then there were still some nights where I'd be like, no, I'm in the mood for an Anchor Steam. And I'd go and have an actual Anchor Steam instead. Ryan and Mallory for Christmas, this is for the listeners out there, got me these enormous cans of Anchor Steam.
Tall boys.
They're tall. It's like you took a tall boy and then you stacked another 12-ounce beer on top of it. They're they barely fit in the fridge. They're so tall. Very
Feel
cool.
that's
I didn't
what she
even
said
know
in
they
there.
existed, let alone that they made Anchor Steam and cans
No,
that big. So
we
I was
still
pretty stoked
to
about
this day, mid-January, we still see them there. There's still a whole bunch there. So if you ever want to come off to our side of town to do some shopping at Meijer, go for it. And I'm going to do one more. I'm going to do one more list of feedback and we'll go on the first sip. So going back to our Porter Stout episode, you remember that special beer we had, the peppermint porter?
Yes.
So I put out there that
I believe it cropped back up at a later family party, Ryan.
It did actually. I wanted to share it with our father-in-law, even though I knew he'd hate it because of the fifth ingredient, and turned out pretty well. He said he wouldn't drink that much of it, but he still thought it was actually pretty good. So I put out there that we tried this, and it was actually surprisingly pretty good considering what it was. And this is from the brewery is Lexington Brewing Company, which is down in Kentucky. I tagged them in it, and I pretty much said, I have to say, this is better than I thought. And I took a picture of it, and I tagged them in, and I said, hats off. And they actually replied. They said, we like surprising people. Cheers.
We are officially famous.
We are officially beer famous to have a B, probably. I wouldn't say A because it's just not across the country. I say, and if you're A class, you're everywhere across the country at least. But a B class with Lexington, is really good. You're very regional. You got a good reach out where you're at.
Lexington Brewing, if you're listening, I think you're an A class brewery.
I apologize. All right. So with that, let's dive into the first sip. And the theme for this one is green beer because we're getting close to St. Patrick's Day when this is coming out. And I wanted to ask you, what is your favorite memory of St. Patrick's Day? Going out, whether it's going out or staying in, doesn't matter. What is your favorite memory of St. Patrick's Day?
So for me, I went once. My friend Ryan lived in not
me.
you.
I'm about to say not me.
No, Gilly. He lived in Chicago for a while. He had a pretty sweet apartment, I think right off of Michigan Avenue.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Nice location. Mm-hmm. He was there for work for a little bit, and he was there over St. Patrick's Day and invited us over. And if you've ever been to or know anyone in the Chicago area, you might know that they dye the entire river green.
It's really cool.
Have you seen it?
I have not seen it in person. I've seen plenty. Okay. I've seen the process of them doing a video of it.
Yeah.
And dyeing the whole river.
It really looks like they're polluting it. They're dropping Simpsons radioactive sludge in it.
Someone called Captain Planet.
Yeah. But that was a really, really cool experience. Not for people who don't like crowds because Jesus Christ, it was fighting through a mob.
Yeah, that's one reason I avoid it.
Yeah, very early in the morning, tons of people smashed already, at 8 in the morning or whatever it is. But we had such a good time. And, not living that close, growing up, we didn't go down to spend time in downtown Detroit that often. With the way Detroit was then, it just was less common than it is now. So, I was in fairly early to middle college, and the whole idea of going downtown to a major US city for a big event like this was fairly new to me. The river dyeing was so cool. We had such a fun time. A nice mix of kind of hanging out at his apartment with some of our closest friends, and then a little bit of going out. Mm-hmm. I believe he made corned beef.
Nice.
He had some Jameson.
Nice.
We did Irish car bombs. We sort of checked most of the boxes. And he's a great friend also. And it was, he wasn't in the state at the time, and it was just wonderful to see him. So yeah, that was a fantastic experience. And that's probably my most notable St. Patrick's Day.
Nice. Very classy, I have to say, because mine is not going to be classy.
I know. Yeah. I was thinking that as I was saying it, I was like, St. Patty's Day memories. Well, this one is actually a memory. It's not a gaping hole in the memory. Yeah. Not every St. Patrick's Day ends up like that.
No. So mine is actually the only time I ever went out for St. Patrick's Day. Did the whole shebang, going out early in the morning. First and last. I did it once. It was kind of a bucket list type thing. I don't have to worry about it again. I'm good. So I was living with a good buddy of mine, Ben, nickname Elvis, if he's listening. It was actually his first time going out too, which I was very surprised. And we decided we went straight out 8 a.m. to a pub that's actually downtown Rochester, right near where we live, and got there, had our green beer, but we switched to Guinness because it was $6 for a pint of green Bud Light and $6 for a pint of Guinness. I'm going to spend the money for the Guinness because it's exactly the same price.
I mean, arguably way more Irish than a green beer.
Yes.
Not to knock, this episode, but come on, Guinness.
But so we went out, we partied hard. We went to a few bars. There was a trolley going between a couple of them. So we did that. And by the time we took the trolley back to where we were, he was hammered. He wasn't allowed back in said bar. And I knew, like, I was feeling it, but like I was coming back from really being bad. Like the holes were there. I don't remember a lot of what happened.
This is, of course, your version of events.
So
I'd like to see what he has to say.
I was sober enough, so I went and got my car. I was fine enough to drive. I'll say that. I was fine enough to drive at this point. So I got my car and I went to where he was and I pulled up, and right there was him standing in the middle of like a sidewalk and 3 cops. I'm like, oh no. And so like he was standing still inside this like block of cement, would not move because they told him, if you move past this block of cement, we're going to arrest you. So he did not move. And then thankfully we had a couple friends there that were keeping him calm and talking with him and everything else. And then the bar that we was at, they had outdoor seating. And thankfully, unthankfully, I'm going to say thankfully, a few people walked out with beers in their hands outside that patio. And as soon as you do, you're out in public area. So the cops went after them. I grabbed him, who is not a big guy, but like got some weight on him. And I threw him into my little Jetta that I had and drove as fast as we could, got home, and we both passed out at like 3:00 in the afternoon. And I woke up at 8:00 at night, the same night, hungover. I was not happy about that, but I had a great time. I probably won't ever go that hard again, but like I had a really, really good time.
It seems like maybe an experience that some people just have to have once young.
I know people do it still to this day. Like, I know people go out and go crazy at my age, which I'm in mid-30s or so. Like, they still go out and party hard for St. Patrick's Day and all the other like days to go out and get drunk. But like, I can't do that anymore. I'm sorry. I am just getting too old for myself here. But let's try this. So, as we said, we are doing naturally green beer. So we actually we do have a little sample of well, you had a sample. I still have a little bit of mine left of green beer with the dye. And I mean, looks typical, like you will find at a bar.
I'll cover this a little bit.
Yeah, I'll let you go. I'm taking your steam. I'll let you go.
All right. So I think we sort of just covered this, but it sounds like you have had sort of the traditionally, like go to a bar on St. Patrick's Day and get the green beer. You've had that experience, right? So we did just sort of for reference one. If you want to make sort of the classic green St. Patrick's Day beer, you just take a single drop of green food coloring in the bottom of a pint glass, and then you fill it up with an American lager.
A light beer of some sort, yeah.
Yeah, so I used Founder's Solid Gold, which I happen to like. That's maybe, I don't know if that's just a Michigan thing, but Bud Light, Budweiser, Miller Light.
I'm about to say where I went, it was Bud Light.
Will work.
Yeah, Bud Light was in a keg, so that's what they had.
So this was the first time I had ever had one. Newsflash, it tasted like the beer normally tastes. Yeah. One drop of food coloring didn't really change that, at least to my palate, my perhaps unrefined.
Hence why I did the one green beer and switched to Guinness on my day.
Yeah, but it was fun though. Like it's not even, we were obviously record these episodes ahead of time, so there's time for editing. So we're not really that close to St. Patrick's Day right now. It was still fun. It's a cool novelty thing. So, but yeah, I've never had that experience. Like I said, Guinness and Jameson and all about all of that stuff. But green beer is not something I'd experienced before, so that was fun. So I want to sort of take a step back from that, though, and start with the actual holiday, St. Patrick's Day. So
go for it. I'm always
St. Patrick's Day is basically something that has grown out of the Catholic Feast of St. Patrick. So it's It's basically just anyone who grew up Catholic maybe recognizes every so often there's sort of a day dedicated to a saint, their birthday or some other commemorative day. There's a mass you can observe. Sometimes you depending on, I don't feel like most Catholics nowadays actually observe these. At least my family didn't growing up, but in any event, it's sort of a religious feast day, and it falls on St. Patrick's Day, which is in the middle of Lent usually. And so historically, restrictions on diet and alcohol for Lent were lifted for that day. I thought that was interesting and maybe part of the reason that it's sort of become associated with drinking is that if you had, if you were basically being a strict Lenten observer and you weren't, you were giving up alcohol for Lent, you could drink on St. Patrick's Day. It was like a temporarily lifted restriction. So basically this was something St. Patrick is kind of associated with Ireland, and this is via Wikipedia. So, yeah. But there's a reference. So they've said, and I quote, "Today St. Patrick's Day celebrations have been greatly influenced by those that developed among the Irish diaspora." So basically after the Irish spread out of Ireland, particularly North America, and I would probably say particularly the United States. So until the late 20th century, St. Patrick's Day was often a bigger celebration among sort of Irish immigrants than it was among actual Irish people. So okay. I think it's sort of bounced back to them at this point. Yeah. But really, this is it's kind of like Cinco de Mayo, where it's like, it's technically a holiday about a non-American country, but really it's just a bunch of Americans' excuse to drink a lot.
I mean, we really don't need an excuse, but yeah. It's nice to have one.
But yeah, but nonetheless, it is still sort of focused on, at least surface level, on Irish culture.
Yeah.
So you wear green, you wear your shamrocks and leprechauns stuff. Irish food like corned beef and those sorts of things are fairly standard. Irish music, especially a lot of, sort of Irish themed bars are, I feel like, almost more common in America than they are in Ireland sometimes. That's not true, but like, there's a lot of traditional Irish music. There's lots of drinking. A lot like you described, a lot of people use it as a reason to kind of take the day off work and just like get bombed in the morning and just party all day. That's for some people sort of what it has become. So, not trying to poo-hoo St. Patrick's Day, but that's sort of my understanding of it. I love St. Patrick's Day, but mostly just as like a fun excuse to get a little rowdy and listen to Irish music all day.
I mean, a little Flogging Molly and Dropkick Murphy is always good.
We're both like, respectably a quarter or less Irish, right? So we can celebrate that part of our heritage.
I found out I'm less Irish than I thought. I was a little sad about that. I am more British and Irish, and that really hurt my soul.
It's okay. As long as you're Irish in spirit.
I do actually have a question. I don't know if it's in your notes because it's something I heard. Green is what you're supposed to wear on St. Patrick's Day. Yes. But I heard you can also wear orange if you're Protestant, because the orange represents Protestant and green represents the Catholic and Irish flag. If I remember correctly. I might got that backwards.
That is news to me.
Okay.
But okay.
I was told that someone told me that.
I did hear, you made me think of, so that there is kind of an interesting Protestant Catholic dynamic in Ireland. I believe Haley and I traveled there and we were told that, at least classically, I don't think it's really true now, but like, there used to be a lot more tension between those different sects of Christianity.
Yes.
And like Jameson is the Catholic whiskey, and Bushmills is the Protestant whiskey.
I did not know that.
So you had to know, you did not go into a Protestant run bar and order a Jameson.
You just got to find one that's in the middle.
Similarly, you did not go into, but like, I'm sure there was a time in Ireland where like every bar owner was like one or the other.
True.
So you had to know, like you did not go into to one and order the wrong drink. You would just be one of those like, the whole bar stops and stares at you type of thing. So, but that makes sense. Like orange and green are both sort of the colors on the Irish flag, kind of the national.
Which is colors, I think is what they said was the difference, because you get the white that merges them together and you get separate of the two, but it's supposed to bring them all together.
That's interesting. Yeah. I don't know. That's not in my notes. But I think that's really interesting. So thanks for sharing that.
Yep.
So in terms of green beer specifically, I found some information on Vox, and generally the drink is credited to a physician named Professor Thomas Curtin, who made a green beer for his clubhouse in New York. His green beer was around as early as 1914.
Wow.
However, there are, it's a lot like older.
Yeah, I was assuming like the 80s or something.
That was what I would have thought. But apparently there are reports of it being done earlier. There's an article in a Spokane newspaper in 1910 making reference to a bar having it available for patriotic Irishmen or anybody who wanted to try green beer.
Now, again, we're going to put an asterisk next to this because it's from Wikipedia.
No. This is from Vox.
Oh, this is from Vox. Okay.
And hey, you know what? Wikipedia and Vox both were diligent about citing their sources. So I think we can take this as true. I didn't follow up, but
we're not investigators here.
By the 50s, the practice of celebrating St. Paddy's and drinking green beer, it sort of grew in popularity out in the American Irish community, but then eventually it spread to just America at large. And that's kind of what you see now, where it's like on college campuses and stuff, you don't have to be Irish to celebrate St. Patrick's Day. Everybody, you don't have to be Catholic. You don't have to be anything. Everybody celebrates it.
Exactly.
It's fun, and it's fun to sort of indulge in a little bit. Irish culture is just cool. Like most people think Irish culture is pretty cool and like amicable and friendly and fun, at least, the sort of the parts of it that we use for St. Patrick's Day. And so people just like celebrating it. And
I'm just picturing Boondock Saints, right? It's at the more towards the beginning of the movie where they're at the bar and like, everybody's Irish today. Let's just have fun.
Yeah. That's exactly it. Yeah. So it sort of began with sort of the Irish and their friends in America and then spread to everybody else. So typically, as I described, if you want to make a green beer, you take a light beer, you put a drop of food coloring in it. Actually, Ryan and I did a fascinating experiment right before we started the podcast. Ryan brought over a wheat beer, and I had some just like an American lager. The standard wheat beer is a bit hazier, but they're about the same color.
Yeah.
My lager was very clear. The wheat beer was a little hazy. We tried doing a drop of green food dye in both, and they were markedly different. I have a picture of it that maybe, Ryan, you can shoot out on Twitter.
We'll put it on Twitter. Drops. Yeah, for sure.
But it was fascinating. Like mine was this deep emerald color, and his was like this really bright. I almost think I preferred it a little bit. It was almost this more like this really like bright, almost like bordering
vibrant,
on vibrant green. So, but traditionally you'd use a clear American lager, or a clear lager, 1 drop of food coloring. So there is if you talk about to like craft beer heads though, some people can get a bit snobbish about the practice of green beer.
I'm shocked.
Right.
This is my shocked face.
I know. Yeah. For those of you that are listening and can't see, it's his normal face.
It is.
But basically, people will say, oh, it's dumb. It doesn't add anything, or it like ruins the beer. Like that's only done with crap beers. And, I don't really subscribe to that, but like, I guess I get it. It is like, it's fun, but ultimately kind of meaningless. It's like, you're not really, like I said, to me, it tasted the same. There's also, some people sort of have, you may read or hear that this is bad for you. And I think that's based on there's a little bit of evidence that like, especially in high amounts, artificial food dyes aren't great for you. And so like, that's not the purpose of this episode. And I think even the doctors who sort of do this sort of research will say that like small amounts aren't,
too much of anything is a bad thing. Yeah. Let's just be honest.
But basically I guess it makes sense. Like if you're going to like go out and binge drink all day, you're going to be getting a fair amount of it if that's what you're going to drink. Yeah. So in any event, some people sort of have health concerns about it too. And so between these sort of two polls, there has been some there have been some pushes to look for natural alternatives for green food dyes, not just in making green beer, but also just in cooking and stuff. And so there have been some articles that have put forward these ideas for making green beer using natural ingredients.
I'm looking at some of them right now.
Yes. And so I stumbled on one of these. I don't remember why, but I want to give full credit to my source was wholefully.com. That's WHOLEFULLY. So props to them. I have no idea how I found it.
I think it's the same site I actually looked at.
Really? Yeah. Yeah. There are now a bunch of sites. That was the one that I found in particular is 3 ways to make green beer without food coloring. And since I was intrigued, and since Ryan and I are certainly not the type of brewers who are opposed to adding sort of extra ingredients, sort of the 5th ingredient to our beer, we thought this would be a fascinating test to do. So they make 3 suggestions on this particular article: wheatgrass juice, spirulina, and matcha. And so these are methods for making green beer by the glass, not dyeing an entire batch of green beer, although that's something that we'll discuss at the end of the episode. So we're going to be trying all 3 of these. And then in addition to that, Ryan and I each found our own unique method for producing green beer on our own, which we are bringing to the table for each other to try. So with that, let's get started. So the first one we are going to try, and Ryan, would you mind grabbing us a...
Solid gold?
Solid gold, yeah. So the first one we're going to try is wheatgrass juice. So interestingly, all 3 of these are kind of considered sort of superfoods. They're all very healthy for you. So in a way, you could kind of look at it. You're adding a teensy tiny bit, but in a way, you could say that they're sort of healthing up your beer a little bit.
Well, look at it this way. When you make a smoothie with this stuff, you're not adding a bunch of it either. You're
That's
doing
fair.
a teensy bit.
That's actually really fair.
I'm making a beer smoothie is what I'm looking at right now.
Particularly for the powdered ones. So for wheatgrass juice, according to the Mayo Clinic, wheatgrass juice is a type of young grass, which is in the wheat family. So it's basically something you can harvest and juice, but you can also then dry that and make a powder, which is what we got. Ryan bought all of these. Thank you for that.
Gotcha.
So what we did, because the recipe on Hopefully calls for 1 tablespoon of the liquid juice in the bottom of a glass, and then you pour the beer over that. What we did is they basically have these packets that reconstitute 8 to 12 ounces of juice. We made the juice. It is a really deep green. And then we took a tablespoon of the remade juice. So I want to subject Ryan to this. We are each going to try a little bit of just the juice, just to see what that tastes like. I've heard it's basically just kind of grassy.
I'm so excited for this.
Yes, I know. So for starters, just a little bit of pure wheatgrass juice. Cheers. Well, it didn't dissolve all the way.
No, it did not.
That was grainy. I will say,
bad.
It kind of tastes like green tea. It is.
Yeah,
it is very
like a teeness to it.
Yeah, is very grainy. So I guess be warned if you are going to use the powder.
Make sure you get enough water.
We made about 12 ounces of it, and that was not enough to fully dissolve it, at least with the amount of stirring I did. So, but it was not bad. It was a lot more subtle than it looks, because it looks kind of, yeah. So now I've taken 1 tablespoon of that. I've poured it into the bottom of the glass, and I'm going to go ahead and pour the beer on top of it.
Ooh, foaming up.
Oh, geez.
Oh, man.
Oh, dear. This is very foamy. This is a problem I heard about spirulina in particular, because spirulina is really protein packed, that it has like a really, really, like the article said they had to like scoop off the head. Yeah, okay. Well, so the first thing I'll say is that the head kind of has this, it's like sort of a multicolored, it's like there's kind of normal beer foam.
Like it feels like the powder.
I think it's probably maybe bits of the powder sitting on top of it. So I might suggest, first of all, of anyone who wanted to try this, and I believe Hopefully.com said that this was their favorite of the 3 that they tried, because it just added this really nice, subtle, grassy flavor to the beer, which they thought was very reminiscent of summer. Okay, that's enough.
I will say, comparing the food coloring to this one, this is like it's a bad description, but it's like vomit green. It's like that. It's not like a vibrant or like a real good looking green.
It reminds me of like if like this beer is like the Crayola crayon yellow green.
Yes,
that's
exactly
what
that is.
Yeah, it is green compared to normal beer.
Yes,
but I would not say I would not particularly call this Like, yeah, it's certainly not emerald green. Okay, now I'm going to make a mess trying to pour this out of a pint glass.
Yep. We're going to be conscious.
We
of what we're
discussed
doing
this
here.
being a problem, but it is what it is.
Oh, there it is.
Okay, Ryan, can I have yours?
Yep.
All right, so here comes the pour.
Well, you got a little dribble. Save it. Ah. That's fine.
Man down. Okay, here we go. You got a little more than me. What?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm visiting your house this time, so
yeah.
I get more. Cheers.
All right, bottoms up. Cheers.
Honestly, it tastes like beer. Like it didn't change the flavor that much to me, at least.
I do get the grassiness though. I understand what they're saying. I kind of like it.
It's not bad.
I
still like it.
I would say if you were going to try this at home, I would definitely not use the powder.
Yes, use
I think
fine
that
liquid.
the powder I'm sure is great in smoothies and stuff. But I'm not really, I don't know. It's way less gritty because we only used a tablespoon of it, but I still get it. But I will say, I like this. I actually think
Still smooth. I like it.
I would say if you took a beer, like if you used a beer with kind of lemony hop character as a base, and then you and then you like used this, that kind of lemony, almost like lemongrass sort of quality could make a really nice beer.
No, I can agree with that.
Yeah, I do not mind this at all.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that.
Okay.
Sorry, I was talking away from my mic because I went and got the next beer from the next one.
Yeah. Are you ready to move on? Or is there
I'm
anything
ready.
else you
Yeah,
wanna say about this?
let's do one more and then we'll take a quick break.
So next we have spirulina. Now, I'm a little nervous about this one. So spirulina is
I'll pour this one
technically
while you talk.
a cyanobacteria. It's a blue-green algae.
There's blue in there? I don't see. It's like a deep, rich green.
Well, yeah, I would say again, it's the blue-green. There's not actually a blue-green Crayola color, but if there were, it would be. Oh, stop. Okay, so here you want to whisk that around a little bit to get it all mixed in, and then add the rest of the beer.
Well, once that foam goes down, yeah, maybe.
So yeah, this is the one where spirulina is definitely like it's sort of high up there on the list of what's considered a superfood. Lots of protein and vitamins. There are some studies that show that it's immune boosting, that it is cancer fighting, it improves your liver function, it does all kinds of stuff. But because of the protein, they said on the article that like they actually had to scoop the foam off of it. So I don't know, we may have to do that. It is like a really, really thick head of foam. Okay, that's probably pretty good as far as mixing it up.
Yeah.
You can try to pour the rest of the beer in. We may just need to grab a spoon and take the rest of it off. So in the article, they said that like in their prelim experiments, if you use too much, spirulina can kind of have like a metallic or a fishy taste. And I smelled like the powder and man, it smelled like fish.
It was rough.
It was like dried fish. Yeah. Not good. So I think that's kind of just the algae quality to it. That just sort of is what it is.
I'm actually seeing like, it's kind of cool. It's like a cascading on the bottom at least.
Can I have your glass?
Yes.
So yeah, we'll just try it and see what happens, I guess. But yeah, so I'm a little nervous about this one because of that glowing description that they gave of it. Oh, geez.
And if we get any actual beer in there. There's a little beer down there.
Maybe a little. That's yours.
That's me.
I mean, if it makes you feel any better, I don't think mine's going to go any better.
Yeah,
we are getting a smoothie of beer foam here. So yeah, so be warned about. Actually, mine's going to be a lot better. Sorry.
Oh, thanks. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. So yeah, be warned if you use spirulina. It is very.
I will say the color is like
the color though
like,
is gorgeous. This I think is more beautifully emerald green than the food coloring was. This is probably the best looking green beer I've ever seen. Ooh, I can smell it.
I definitely smell it. I can taste it slightly.
Yeah, me too.
It's not as bad as the smell that's
you know what? It kind of like, have you ever had an old canned beer and gotten a bit of that metallic taste?
Yeah.
That's kind of what it tastes like to me. It's like this beer has been left in the can for a long time and has developed almost like a metallic character to it.
Yeah,
I know it's not a glowing recommendation. I feel like I got it more in the second one. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan.
This is
I will
beautiful.
I will take the wheatgrass flavor over this, but the color.
The color is beautiful.
We will definitely have a picture of this.
But how much less of this you could use and still get the same
probably.
color? So we put. I didn't say this, but we used half a teaspoon. So that's not much.
No.
And but I wonder what a quarter of a teaspoon would do. I'm kind of curious now. Because I really love this color, but I'm not digging the flavor.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
So, oof. Yeah. Man, it gets worse.
And then I just got, I got a little beer down, so but the foam is still there.
Just be glad you have less of it to drink. Okay, so would you think now is a good time to take a little break?
Yeah, we'll take a quick break, and then we'll do
We'll come back with matcha,
and then we got two. Each of us got a surprise one for each other. And then we'll go from there, see what we can do.
All right.
Cheers, guys.
Up.
Hi there, I'm David.
And I'm Kate.
And we're the hosts of Another Zelda podcast.
There are so many good podcasts out there, and some of them in particular concern the Legend of Zelda.
That's right, Kate, and we are another one of them. That is actually the name of our show, Another Zelda podcast.
And in our show in particular, we talk about some of our favorite dungeons, characters, boss battles. We have top 10 lists.
Yeah, we do deep dives on game design and production aspects of the different Zelda games.
And we talk about our own experiences. We do some review episodes, talk about our challenges, our struggles, and our victories.
That's right. Really just almost anything that has to do with Zelda, we like to talk about it. A new episode comes out every other Friday, and you can subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and YouTube.
And you can also check out our episodes on our website, anotherzeldapodcast.com.
That's right. All right, we will see you there.
Okay, bye.
Hey, this is TC.
And this is Jim from the Studio Demands It podcast.
Where every episode we take a demand from a hypothetical studio,
which could be you,
and challenge ourselves to conceptualize, pitch, and craft a film based on the stipulations
or the demands
we are given. We talk about movies all the time. Particularly, we complain about the choices made in the films we've seen.
We're nerds like that.
And, of course, like any good nerd does, we automatically assume that we could do better.
Even with the demands and restrictions that clearly must have been put on by a production.
So head on over to studiodemandsit.com and listen to our previous library of episodes. Our library of previous episodes. Our precious library, Jim. Our library of precious episodes.
You're a pirate, Smeagol.
Okay, so head on over to studiodemandsit.com to listen to our library of episodes.
And submit your demand for a future episode, too.
So go do that.
Okay, bye.
Okay, end of ad.
And welcome back. So, we're going to go into our next one, which most people actually should know what it is because it's pretty common. You can find it in most stores, actually. It's matcha.
Matcha.
So, for those who don't know, matcha is green tea, pretty much. You use it for making green tea. I don't know what the difference is really between matcha and green tea. But
I don't know how it's processed, but it is a powdered form of green tea. Okay. So that makes it advantageous if you're looking to get some green tea flavor. Haley and I have, during December of 2020, we sort of binge watched all of the Holiday Baking Championship. And matcha is, for instance, like something that's used there. If you want to get green tea flavor into baked goods, it's a great thing. If you're looking to sort of add green tea, it's just basically it's like a really shelf stable and a really sort of adaptable formulation of green tea. When we smelled it earlier, it smelled exactly like green tea.
Now, I did hear this story, and we'll just touch on it real quick. Make sure you get matcha, not maca.
Yeah, yeah. Haley, my wife was making. She wanted to make a macaron recipe she found that was for matcha macarons, which again has a green tea flavor. So if you've ever had green tea, it's kind of grassy, fairly. It's got this nice, subtle, natural sort of leafy quality to it. I really like it. But maca root is a very different thing. It's not green, it's yellow, and it has a way different flavor that's kind of like you know, if I don't know how to explain it other than if like something like butterscotch or caramel were like a root vegetable. Like, it's a weird flavor. I don't hate it. It works in some things. It did not work in these, and she used way too much because it's a much stronger powder, much stronger flavor than matcha. So, but again, sort of a superfood, if you will, packed with antioxidants like green tea is. And so what we've done here, what Ryan has done, and again, this has ended up pretty foamy. I think part of the reason is that
powder.
You have to kind of whisk it. Yeah. And it's adding some, you know, just molecules to the beer, but yeah, we added a teaspoon of matcha.
Not maca.
Still doing it. Teaspoon of matcha in the bottom of the glass. And then Ryan added 1 to 3 tablespoons of beer and whisked that to get all the matcha powder into solution. Then he added the rest of the beer.
And it's about third head.
It's fairly foamy, but I think that just kind of comes with the territory with all of these. It seemed like all of them have ended up pretty foamy. Again, I think if you used actual wheatgrass juice, you'd probably avoid this. But I'll do mine first this time. I'll take the foam. Oh, yeah, there we go. All right, there's the pour. Man, it smells like green tea. Which, again,
I will, while you're pouring, I'll talk about the color. So the color is not quite as vibrant emerald as the spirulina was.
Oh, I like it, though.
But I do like it. It's definitely better than the wheatgrass.
It's not
greener.
emerald, but it is deeply green.
It's like a clouded
the wheatgrass
emerald.
Was not very green. And I will say, I believe, so like Ryan and I kind of had to guesstimate. Again, like we reconstituted wheatgrass juice and then added the reconstituted juice, which was definitely not fully dissolved. If you buy liquid juice from the store, it might have come out more green, but I believe even in the article, they sort of noted.
I will say, I just took a quick sip while you were talking. I definitely taste the green tea. Like, it definitely tastes like green tea.
Yeah, it's
for sure.
It's like halfway between beer and green tea, which oddly for me,
it's not bad. Yeah, I'm okay with it. I'm definitely okay with it.
You would have to know going in that you're getting a green tea beer, but I like green tea, and this really works for me.
I might have to do this. So a while ago, when I was really into mead, I tried doing a green tea mead. And I did
which totally makes sense because honey green
works,
tea is like
what
totally
I wanted to
thing.
do.
Yeah.
I totally wanted that. And I used just regular green tea bags, and it just bittered. It just did not come out that well. So if I ever do it again, I think I'm going to use the matcha.
You've got it now.
I'd say, I spent like $15 on it. Might as well.
Was it really?
Yes.
You still got to Venmo for that.
Fresh time. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So I have to say, this is my front runner so far. It's a stronger flavor than the wheatgrass juice, and it's kind of similar, but as someone who already likes green tea, I love this.
And the color also helps it get ahead of the wheatgrass as well.
Again, I think if you sort of, just in terms of like, if you chose a beer that would complement this, I think you could do something really special. All right. So do you have anything else you want to say about this?
It is definitely my front runner right now.
It's your favorite too. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. But again, it's strong. It might be the strongest of the 3 flavors.
Of the flavors.
The spirulina wasn't that strong. It was just
a bad flavor.
It just didn't work for me. Yeah. So for my special surprise, I have prepared some yummy, delicious spinach-based natural green food dye. So Ryan, if you want to go ahead and pour this. So basically what I did, I took a cup of loosely packed spinach, mixed it with a 1/4 cup of water. That was a halved recipe from what I found online. I would say, well, let me finish. So then you basically, a cup of loosely packed spinach, 1/4 cup of water, you saute it on medium-low heat until it's wilted. Then you food process that and strain it through a fine mesh strainer. As you can see, I didn't get everything.
I'm about to say you need a finer mesh.
There are some floaties. But I would say if I were you, the recipe I found was 2 cups and a 1/2 cup of water. And mine did not food process that well because there just wasn't enough stuff there. So unless you are going to use like a coffee grinder or something, I would probably recommend if you want to try this, use the full 2 cups of spinach and the full half cup of water.
Yeah.
It made the extract that I made, because it didn't food process that well, definitely like settled out. I made it yesterday and kept it in the fridge, and it settled out. I had to keep reconstituting it. Ryan has just poured the beer, and we can see like little sort of spinach,
little bits of spinach floating around. It looks appetizing.
So apparently, this is a really popular natural green food dye for baking.
Okay.
It did not smell good when I was making it. Sauteing spinach, not a good smell. But
really? Okay. I
No.
like sauteing spinach. Like we have a dish that we
agree to
do
disagree.
that we saute a little spinach with like some pasta,
Oh, I don't
ground
think it
turkey,
smells
and pesto. Like
Okay, but if you're sauteing it with a bunch of other stuff,
Yes.
like this was just spinach and water in a
Hey.
pan.
Popeye loves it. I mean,
Yeah.
someone's gotta like it.
But so personally, I did not like the smell. I will say it poured with no foam.
No foam.
So
Well,
that-
it's liquid compared to powder.
So
So,
yeah,
that
so
helps it.
I basically made, I would bet that was about half a shot. So maybe like half an ounce
Maybe not even that. Yeah.
of, well, what's a shot? An
A
ounce
shot,
and a
an
half?
ounce and a quarter.
What? Okay. So I would say, yeah, maybe half an ounce. If that is kind of what came out of it, it did not make much extract. Apparently in baking, this is a really subtle flavor. No idea if it'll be subtle in beer. We put all the extract into 1 pint of beer here. So
I will say color wise, while you pour, I will talk about that because it reminds me exactly of the wheatgrass, which is like that vomit green of yellow green Corolla crayon.
it's not nice looking.
And then of course you had the green floaters. It's like you find, I don't know what flavor it is, but you know, like the jelly beans where they have like the solid
like the
color
booger,
with the
I feel like
with the
this is
speckles in it. That's what this is.
This is like booger colored, booger flavored jelly beans.
Birdie Bots beans.
Yeah. All right. I smell greens. I smell. leafy
I honestly
greens.
don't smell anything. So
Okay. I feel floaties. I don't taste anything.
I don't taste anything extra to it, which
I will
is
say
better
this-
than all of them.
This tastes like Founder's Solid Gold to
Yes.
me. Yeah.
Yeah, it did not change flavor. I honestly didn't feel any floaties. I was fine with that. So maybe you just got most of them when you poured first.
So I'm wondering if I had done a better job of blending this. You know,
You wouldn't
maybe
have
if
that
it had
issue.
been a bigger batch and it had like fully blended so that there weren't floaties, that should have meant the color was deeper. Yeah, this is not a nice color. I
No.
wouldn't want to drink a beer this color. It is funny though, having these 4 in front of us, it really makes me realize the blue in the
Yeah, I could definitely
spirulina. But yeah, spinach definitely wins the most subtle of the flavors. Although in the foam, I got it a little more. I think it's because that's where a lot of the floaties ended up.
Probably. So I am going to get my last one, and we are going to hate this. So I'm going to let you talk a little bit and hope that it is.
Wait, what? Okay, so I have no idea what Ryan's talking about. He's insisting that we're going to hate it. I thought that boiling spinach would be pretty gross. Blue Gatorade. Okay.
So I am going to pull this up because I saved the site for this. So there was, when I was doing research, the
I
three
don't know
main
if
ones
I'm
you're
gonna
going to
hate
find
this.
were the first three we had. That's the main ones you're going to find when it comes to finding green beer. So I found, and this is a great website called spoonuniversity.com, and ways to make green beer that aren't really green beers, but like so like some of the other options were
adjacent
like
beers.
margarita beer. So like when you put a Corona inside your margarita, it's technically it's green, technically it has beer, but it's not like a true green beer.
Right. It's kind of like a way to like honor the spirit of green beer without like directly doing green beer.
So your internet is not doing very well here.
My internet is trash right now. Yeah. We're in the pandemic, bro.
But
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay. So just to narrate here, Ryan has poured, he's grabbed a light blue Gatorade. What is that?
it is Glacier Freeze.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. They don't, it's like, what flavor is it? Blue. So fully half of this pint glass. Oh my God, that works.
It is the yellow of the beer
Stop though. Yeah.
With
you
the
you
green-
had the
the
right
blue.
color.
with the blue. And
Wow. I'm shocked how well that worked though.
I am terrified of the taste, but the color is perfect.
So I think Ryan poured probably a true half and half.
Yes, it is. They said half and half.
I think if you'd have stopped at like maybe 2/3 Gatorade and 1/3 beer, you would have had a greener beer. Hard to say whether it would have tasted good. I was okay. When you brought that out, I was like, okay, like a tablespoon or two of Gatorade at the bottom. I can deal with that. I don't know how I feel about this.
So yeah, so I got
that was a lot of Gatorade.
I finally got the site up. So like,
the
first one they say is
one thing I will say about it. You're not going to get hung over on this stuff.
Nope, you got electrolytes.
It's got what plants crave. It's got electrolytes.
Exactly. So the website, like I said, it's Boone University.
That is an odd
other
color.
drinks involved in this include the Sidewalk Slammer, which is with beer with Four Loko. It's just a Four Loko. It's green Four Loko.
Gross.
The Blue Wave Bomb, which I believe is like a mojito. So you get vodka. Actually, no, not a mojito, because that's rum.
Yeah.
So you're mixing with vodka. A lot of these, and then they do have a beer mojito, and a couple other things. But the very last thing, it says beer and blue Gatorade. And the gift with it is literally a guy holding a beer and like making the most sourest face in the world. And the description said, "Get your electrolytes while you drink. That's all there is to it."
The smell is weird. Like the complementary smells of like beer smell and Gatorade smell don't work for me. So I'm gonna stop smelling it. Bottoms up. I hate you.
It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
It's mostly tastes like Gatorade.
It does. The Gatorade is definitely a stronger flavor. But
I don't love the the second one was worse.
It seems to be a common thing here.
Yeah. The second one was a little weird. Did you yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely got the sweet sugarness of. Well, there's your calorie intake for the day too, because one of these bottles is 140 calories, so it's like 80. What we just poured
plus beer,
which is
beer. It turns out for those
I will say this is a lighter beer, so it probably won't be as bad. But
no, you're right. Yeah,
but
yes, I could see how this could be a choice for people who want to participate in green beer but aren't beer people, because it does not taste like beer.
No,
I hate it. You were making me really nervous. Ryan brought up like 6 times in the lead up to this episode how much I was going to hate this, and I hated it less than I thought.
No, it definitely is not as bad. I didn't try it, so I was going in blind as well. I didn't taste test this going in, so I wanted to see how it would work, and not as bad as I thought, but still, I would probably put it as second worst, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, I would say second. Well, let's
go into that. Yeah, let's go into
rank
that
here. For me, I would say spinach was the least invasive flavor. But and that basically just tasted like Founders Solid Gold, which is a delicious beer. If you like just regular old American lager with like a nice kind of craft twist on it, and you can get Founders Solid Gold, drink Founders Solid Gold.
Founders is not going to sponsor us. We're not that big.
Founders sponsor us. But with that said, in terms of the ones that we could taste a little more, I would say matcha, I loved. Wheatgrass juice, probably a close second. Spirulina, Gatorade. And then I would say Gatorade a distant third, and Spirulina can like barely see Gatorade. It's such a distant fourth.
So you put the spinach first then?
No, I almost find it hard to like rate the spinach because it just didn't change the flavor.
But see, that's the thing though. When you do green beer, you don't want to mess with the flavor. You want the beer without like too much of your flavor messed with.
Yeah, okay,
because they got food coloring is just like straight up coloring.
I would say I'd be interested in screwing around with like just a tiny touch of spirulina for color and mixing it with one of these like wheatgrass or spinach that like have gross color. Because like if you took yellow green and you took blue Gatorade, combined it with yellow beer and made green. If you took blue green spirulina beer and combined it with yellow green spinach beer, you'd get green, right?
I mean, the science is there.
The science. So I wonder, like, maybe that could work. But yeah, taking all things into account, the matcha has a really nice flavor and a pretty nice color.
Yeah.
I would say that's my top.
That's your top one? I am honestly going to say the spinach is my top, and the color is definitely not great, but it doesn't mess with the flavor. And like when I want a beer, I want a beer.
That's true. Yeah. Oh, when you want a beer, you want a beer, Mister. Can't just make a normal beer.
Okay, but if I'm pouring a Solid Gold or a Bud Light and I want to change the color or do something to it, I don't want to change the flavor of it. I want that beer.
That's fair. Yeah.
So that's why I would put the spinach above. I would probably put the matcha next, then the wheatgrass, then actually I would put the Gatorade, then the spirulina. The spirulina is like the best color of all of them for sure, but
yeah,
it's just that metallically taste was just bad.
So now, hot take: do you think color-wise, any of them surpassed the artificial food coloring?
Well, I do have a little bit of mine in my first one, so I'm gonna pull this up so I can kind of look at it. I like matching it. This is gonna sound bad, but the Gatorade comes closest.
Yeah,
because
to yours now, Ryan is drinking the wheat beer.
Oh
which
yeah,
had
that's
that
true.
Sort
I
of
did.
Brilliant, bright, food dye color to it. Whereas, like I said, mine was like a deep emerald. I think mine ended up closer to the spirulina.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, I've got to be honest. The reason I say that is because I don't think, unfortunately, that any of these were quite as good color-wise as either of our just regular old dyed beers.
No.
So there's that. But following up on that, I want to know, do you think, would you ever consider trying to make a green St. Paddy's Day beer using any of these ingredients?
Not Gatorade.
No, probably not.
I actually wouldn't mind the wheatgrass. I guess,
you've already said you'd like to make a mead using matcha.
Yes, mead with matcha. But honestly, I was going to say the Kolsch that I make, which is with usually like cucumber, I thought about doing lemongrass and wheatgrass with it, but I decided to go against it because I actually saw there are a lot of places that do that already. So I just went straight with this cucumber water with mine for that Kolsch. So like putting wheatgrass in a light beer or Kolsch or a lager or something like that is actually a more common thing than you think.
Okay. Idea.
Okay.
Next time you make that beer, let's try you'll still have the leftover wheatgrass juice in matcha.
Probably.
Let's try dosing just a glass of your Kolsch, your cucumber Kolsch with one of these flavors, because I think that could be delicious.
I think so too.
A little bit of grassiness with the cucumber, with that really clean, crisp Kolsch flavor. Yep. Oh man, that could be good. I love that. So from a pragmatic perspective, I don't know if I could ever make a green beer unless like we were going to throw a banger party at our house.
100% agree.
And we are recording this during a pandemic where you're like not even allowed to have 5 people at your house. So I find it hard to imagine a world anymore where like that could happen. But if I knew we were going to have like, say we started throwing a St. Paddy's Day party and we brew a beer for it every year and we are emptying the keg year in and year out, then I would consider using matcha or wheatgrass to make an entire batch of beer. I really liked those flavors. Like I said, both of them. I think the grassy, if you combo that with sort of what you described with like the kind of like you said using lemongrass, but I think if you use some hops that give kind of a lemony citrus quality, maybe did like a wheat beer.
Wheat beer would probably be really good with that.
And then, yeah, well, because we saw, like I said, I think my favorite color of any of them was the kind of hazier wheat beer of yours with the green food coloring. So I say you take the matcha, you use make a wheat beer, and then like really lean into like lemony hops and lemony, those sort of more citrusy flavors from your yeast. I think that could be a delicious beer where it's like, it not only makes it green, but you're kind of like making the flavor work for the beer.
Challenge accepted.
Okay. In the
Kolsch, next Kolsch time I do the Kolsch, I will try and see what I can do to make it even a green beer. How about that?
If you want.
I'm game. I'm game.
I was going to say.
That's why I said challenge accepted.
I think perhaps what we could do is maybe just like try that by the glass first and see kind of how that. It's up to you. If you want to make it green, your prerogative.
We'll have to see what happens.
But if you want to play it safe, we could always just use some of the extra ingredients from this episode. So, with that said, did you have any final thoughts on green beer? I will say I would totally, in the future, celebrating St. Paddy's, look at maybe using... I would maybe already, may have like one glass of like matcha green beer on St. Patrick's Day just to kind of get
honestly, like if you made
I would do that
a larger batch
like
of that
next year or
spinach,
this
that
coming
spinach
year.
mix, imagine doing like, if we did like a party, just do a big batch of that spinach mix.
I think the key, if we could do enough to like blend it. Yeah. Cause if you've ever tried to food process, like, or honestly, I'd have to clean it so thoroughly afterwards, but like a coffee grinder.
I won't do that to your
Or
coffee.
like just something smaller to just blend it up a bit better. But yeah, I would agree. I would try that, but I still just wonder about the color. We have to see.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll experiment on St. Patrick's Day.
Maybe. Actual St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah. So, yeah. So I think that's that.
Yeah, I think that's, we'll post pictures of this and
yeah, we're gonna the picture of the episode that you'll be able to look up will be a picture of all 5 of the dyes that we used, so that you can kind of see the colors for yourselves, and you can decide. I would love to hear, first of all, whether anybody listening has any bright ideas about how to make another type of green St. Patrick's Day beer. I'd also love to know if any of these piqued your interest and if you try them. And if you do, what are your thoughts?
Yeah. And also, what are your St. Patrick's Day memories that you can remember? Because, alcohol.
Let's just be honest. It's a drinking holiday, basically.
Yes.
It's okay to admit it.
So you're not on Twitter. I'm trying to push you on Twitter. I'm trying to get you there.
Like all of the great feedback we got from the Twitterverse today is making me consider it and then going, no, I'm still not going to do it. But maybe someday if we keep getting good feedback.
So you can find us all together, the Brewthers, at Brewthers-In-Law on Twitter.
And if you want to reach me, I will happily respond to anything that is sent to that address.
Yep. And then I'm also on Twitter at Rambo Kuhn for my personal stuff. I am also, for my brewing stuff, I am at Wise Old Owls Brew. And then I also do have a blog with Hop Brew and Blog. I do one every month or so.
Yes,
nothing too crazy.
I believe you just put out a really fun episode about Ryan's brewery got a major upgrade this year at Christmas with lots of new toys.
Lots of good toys.
And he had I really enjoyed your fun little article about all of your new brewing toys.
That new airlock is amazing. It's not perfect because you do have to adjust it because it's like kind of going off what the bubbles are.
That's that's part of the fun of like a new gadget.
Exactly.
Right? Is figuring it out.
So if you, like we talked about, if you have any thoughts or anything, make sure you leave us any comments. Make sure you go on to wherever you listen to your podcast, rate us, leave us a comment. We'd love to hear from you. We will say whatever you say to us. Like we'll share your comments and everything on the podcast as well. So let us know what you think. And with that, I think we're pretty much, that's green beer right there, natural.
I think cheers.
Cheers.